Welcome to Rat Girls Podcast. I'm Abigail Jensen, and today we are joined by Chala Hunter. She is the intimacy coordinator for Heated Rivalry and Body. That's going to soon be on Netflix. Welcome.
Hello, nice to be here.
So nice to have you. Our main cheese this week is talking about being the intimacy coordinator on Heated Rivalry. So let's get right into it. How did you get into intimacy coordinating? Because it seems like you've been in production for a while now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like it's not a straight line, as most things in life, I guess, aren't. I was an actor and still am when I have time, but I really was primarily an actor in the theater, in like the independent theater scene in Toronto and across Canada for a really long time. And in that time, I just did a lot of really intense content. I did a lot of nudity. I did a lot of intimacy. I was, yeah, I was just in a lot of really experimental work, I guess. And a lot of that work had that type of content in it. And so sometime around the moment when intimacy coordinator started to emerge as a role and gain more popular recognition, like, sort of around the Me Too moment as well,
Mhm.
I had a friend ask me to intimacy coordinate on a website, a web series that she was doing. And so I agreed to do that. And she asked me to do that, I think, based on like knowing me well and seeing how I had dealt with, I guess, having to perform like quite heightened, intimate
Mm.
content. Um, and so I helped her out with that project. And I did a ton of research, and came as prepared as I could be to that. But I've said this in other interviews, but as soon as I had done it, I was like, oh, dang, like you really have to know what you're doing, because you could cause like unintentional harm so easily in this role. Like
Yeah.
to not have like a real methodology for how to approach it, kind of like any profession, but I was like, that could be, yeah, very harmful by accident, or unintentionally. And so then I became a bit interested in it, I think partially because it was such a big discussion at the time. And,
Mhm.
I had had some experiences as an actor where I certainly could have used more support and some unfortunate things happened for
I'm
sure.
so sorry.
It's okay. Yeah. Luckily, nothing very major, but still, yeah, just really unsupported situations.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, it'd be nice to support people who, other performers or crews or productions, ensembles that are dealing with intimate content. And so then I was lucky to get a grant from the Ontario Arts Council, a Chalmers Professional Development Grant. Shout out to the Ontario Arts Council, um, to do extended training with intimacy coordinators and directors international. And they're based in New York. So,
Wow.
yeah. So then I pursued that. And at the same time, I was working in production. Honestly, I was mostly working towards like being a writer and a producer
Cool.
while training in this realm.
Oh my god, I
Um,
can't imagine the hours you were putting in. Like
yeah, I was working a lot. I maybe have a problem. Um, I'm working on that problem. I'm working on it. Um,
I feel like that's an
yeah.
okay problem to have. I was the opposite where I was like, just the production life was not for me. The 12 to maybe sometimes 16-hour days I couldn't handle. And I
Yeah.
realized I just like laying and being lazy a lot. And I was like, maybe
Yeah.
this isn't for me.
I mean, yeah, like the sustainability and livability of production hours is like, that's a whole other podcast we could have.
Yeah.
But certainly, I will say that, there were some things that happened in terms of my relationship to working as a producer and or a
Mhm.
writer. Um, COVID happened for one, like, but other things occurred that made me wonder if that was what it made me wonder genuinely is if I had enough energy um, to kind of like hustle as hard as I would have to really
Mhm.
break into that realm, given that I was a woman, given the age that I was, given like just
Totally.
the cultural climate and where the industry was at and all these things. And so, um, yeah. And then to be honest, in the last few years, intimacy is just sort of, it's kind of like come to me.
Yeah.
People are asking me to do it, and now I have the training, and it's not something that I have been like pounding at the door for.
Mhm.
But I am invested in it and I do care about it. But it is interesting that it's sort of like come to me versus me, in terms of like the perspective of trying to work in the arts, like having to like really go for something to try to
Yeah.
get in. Yeah. So
It's cool.
that's,
It's like
yeah.
you were at the kind cutting edge of it all, like,
Yeah.
when intimacy coordinating was introduced to production, you kind of were right there, and now you have this show that's, like, everyone's calling out. They're like, "This show has the best intimacy coordinator in the world,"
I
like,
know it's wild.
it's so amazing, and it's so true, but it's funny to think, yeah, like, 8 years ago or something, this is a new job.
I know. I know. It is fascinating. I mean, one thing I find, I mean, it's very bizarre and lovely and at times overwhelming, like just the amount, I guess, of attention that people are paying to the idea of intimacy coordinating and therefore to
Yeah.
me through Heated Rivalry. But I also feel really encouraged by that in terms of it like revealing, I don't know, I guess just how like positive and collaborative and um like non-invasive, I guess the role can
Mhm.
be. Like I feel like sometimes there's a perception out there that the role of intimacy coordinating like impedes artistic expression or prohibits actors freedoms, and I understand where those ideas come from, but I do feel that it's nice that people are watching the show and being like, oh my god, this intimacy is so good. And then they're like, oh, it was actually really, really carefully orchestrated. And there
Yeah,
was a huge, very thoughtful process that allowed it, that contributed anyway, to allowing it to be kind of so like magical on screen.
totally. So what is the methodology that you ended up learning or, like, that you use on set when you're intimacy coordinating?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. There's so, so, so much. But I guess I will say, like, in brief, my whole objective, and I think what I was taught is to like center consent at the heart of the process. And
Yeah,
so everything I do is about creating a consent forward um, space and process for the performers and for the production, and also an anti-racist and an extremely inclusive, like in terms of like different bodies, neurodivergence, certainly, different gender identities and sexual orientations, like the all of those are huge, like our core values of my process that come from me, from my
yeah,
life, but that were also in my training, I will say, just to advocate for that training. um, but the consent is the biggest piece, and so I take that, and I think because I was an actor, I have like a very actor centric perspective.
mhm,
And so I have an initial meeting with the production, and then I have a conversation with the director, and then I have these long, often very long, certainly in Heated Rivalry, they were very, 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 very long, conversations with the actors, um, going through all of the scripted action that falls
yeah,
under the umbrella of intimacy or nudity or hyperexposure. So whether that's simulated sex or a kiss or a scene where two people are talking in their underwear, or I don't know, a massage, or all these types of things,
right,
I just talk through all of that scripted action with them and get their consent levels and boundaries related to that scripted action.
yeah.
So, and then that goes back to the director. And ultimately, that informs then how the scenes will be filmed. Um, yeah.
That's cool. I like that you're like, in case there's a chance they're uncomfortable with anything, you are this like person who brings it to the director then. So they don't have to feel like, any type of way about bringing it to the, and of course it's a safe space
Exactly.
where they can, but I like that you are like the middle person there.
I mean, that's really key. What you're naming is that I'm like an objective third party.
Hmm.
My primary role is to be an advocate for the actors. And then, of course, I'm um, endeavoring to collaborate with the director to help realize their artistic vision, um, but not at the expense of the actor's consent levels and boundaries. And so
Totally.
the the hope is, I guess, that an intimacy coordinator serves as someone kind of outside of that hierarchy power structure of like producers and directors, because actors care so much generally
Mm.
about doing a good job and making people happy and serving the story, that it can sometimes feel challenging to say no or to express discomfort with something, um, even if that discomfort is felt or even if there is a real no there for the performer. So ideally, I'm the person that they can easily say no to. I try to be like a really easy person to say no to.
Yeah. Yeah. You like practice how you handle it in the mirror. You're like, okay.
Totally.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, one thing, I don't think this came from my training, but I worked with an intimacy director when I did a play
okay.
years ago. And I remember one of the things he said, which I loved, and maybe they say this in the IDC training too. I can't remember right now, but which is that a no is as positive as a yes. And I just love
That's
like the
great.
actual phrasing of that. I feel like it would be great if we were all taught that, societally in general, not just for intimacy coordinating on sets, but that if people were encouraged at a young age to understand that no and yes are just different pieces of information around consent,
Yeah.
um, and that both of them help us move forward in clarity, you know?
Yeah. That's so
Yeah.
incredible. Like we could, I mean, yeah, every aspect of our lives, our sex lives, anything, like
Anything,
that is
relationships, like
relationships.
navigating
Yeah.
driving, workplace dynamics. I don't know, someone's making you dinner and you don't want sour cream. Like, no, thank you. And it's
Right.
not a big deal. Do you know what I mean? Just like whatever it is, just like
Totally.
our societal discomfort with saying no is like very interesting.
It's very interesting, but then yeah, how you think about it, like how you phrase it, it's another piece of information you're learning about that person. And like how
Yeah.
lucky that you get to like learn something new about them even if it's a no.
Well, it's just great because it just means, okay, now I
Yeah,
know, now I understand where you're coming from and we can like move forward
totally. I
versus you not knowing.
and everyone being like a little uncomfortable and like,
Yeah, or
yeah,
uncertain or someone withholding something. Like it's so much easier, and this applies to intimacy coordinating. Like, certainly if I know what someone is not okay with, then um, it just makes the way to proceed in terms of telling the story much clearer. Because then I
yeah,
can also be like, okay, you're not okay with that, but you are okay with this. So here are our options. Like it's just practical. Feels very
yeah.
practical to me.
Yeah, that's really great. I think that, I mean, the way that consent is the center of what you do really comes through when you're watching it. I think one of the
Mm,
reasons so many people resonate with the sex scenes and like how beautiful they are is because it feels really safe. Like,
mm,
and we don't ever feel like, I don't ever feel like a voyeur kind of. I don't feel like I'm like,
mm,
like as a viewer
mhm,
sexualizing. Like it's more like this is what is happening and we just happen to be there. It's not like, the cinematography, the cameras like going up and down their body in certain ways to like highlight how
mhm,
hot they are or whatever it
mm,
like sometimes with shows do, especially with women, especially under the male gaze. And so I think that something that, yeah, I just resonated with was like I felt completely safe when the sex scenes
mm,
were happening. And I
mm.
just think that's like a testament to you starting everything with consent.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's such a great perception. I do think that is a big part of it. And I also have to shout out that, I mean, Jacob, of course, who's like setting up these shots with the DOP and has a really clear idea about how he's visually telling the story, you know,
Yeah.
and also the camera team and the DOP, Jackson Peral, who's just like a literal magician, genius, artist, incredible human, as was his whole team. But like, I feel, I don't know, hopefully I'm not going to speak incorrectly about his cinematography choices here. Sorry, Jackson, if I am, but I feel the camera movement is so embodied, it's so
Yeah.
empathic. So it's with the character's experience, which
Totally.
arguably is more the female gaze, you know, if we want to like talk about it in terms of gender binaries, or we could say it's subjective and
Yeah.
not, as you say, objectifying those characters, but subjectively, um, you know, is visually with their experience from a like
Yeah.
empathic place, I guess, is what it seems like to me.
It felt like this would be happening whether I was here or not, you know,
Oh,
like it
wow. Yeah, that's cool.
w
Yeah.
yeah, I felt like in the scene. Yeah, I just can't give enough compliments to you and, yeah, the entire team. It really created a safe space that I think, yeah, everyone's work really, like, shined through? Oh my god,
They all work. Those were all good.
they shone sh shine through, and,
It's your podcast. You get to choose whatever language you want to use.
I get to mispronounce words left and right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what was the process of, yeah, you a little more about you working with the director and, like, how much, or the writer even, how much is written and choreographed in the script versus you bringing it and coming up with ideas with the actors, or, like, how do you break it all down?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that really depends on the script. I can say in terms of Heated Rivalry. So Jacob directed the series, but also adapted Rachel Reed's books into the
Mhm.
screenplay. So he's the writer and the director. That means in this case is that like his vision was so clear. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I felt reading the scripts um, that they were like a beautiful map for what was supposed
Mm.
to occur. Or, like I've said this in other interviews, but like choreography, like
Yeah.
reading the whole script, but certainly reading the simulated sex scenes or any of the intimacy felt like reading, yeah, either like choreography or I played classical piano. And so to me, another like metaphor would be that it felt like looking at music notes. So it's like, okay, this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and it's in
Mm.
this key. But it's all
Yeah.
beautifully laid out as a series of steps, if that makes sense. The same way
Yeah.
music is a series of steps. And so, because of that, I felt like my job was to help just bring that music to life, basically, like to bring those steps to life, and to ensure that the actors were consenting to how they were going to portray this, you know, that it was within their boundaries. But yeah, just to bring it to life in collaboration with Jacob and the performers, both Hudson and Connor, and of course, Francois and Robbie as well, and also Sophie. Um, and so that meant, yeah, a lot of conversations with the actors, a bunch of conversations with Jacob. And then we luckily had a rehearsal where we
That's great.
walked through and like kind of mapped out the basics of every
Mhm.
single intimate scene in this one incredible day before we went to production.
Yeah,
And that was amazing, partially because we got to meet each other and get to know each other in person before like being on set and having all the stakes of production around.
totally.
But also just because like there's a reason people rehearse plays. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
Mhm.
like to find um, complicated choreography and then to get comfortable enough with it for it to appear easeful is like quite a feat. And some of this
Yeah.
choreography complicated. Like there was like really a lot of detail to what the performers had to do. Um, And so, yeah, those rehearsals were amazing. And then on the day, it's just like, yeah, trying to get as close to that original map as possible. And I had the good fortune to know Jacob before doing this project. So we worked on a couple plays together and our
That's
friends.
amazing.
Um, and yeah, like the gift of that and feeling like familiar with a person's artistic identity so that when I'm
Mhm.
reading those scripts, I'm reading them like with a deep level of, I don't know, familiarity or even intimacy,
Yeah,
because I know that person. And so that felt really lucky that I uh, felt like I understood quite early on what Jacob was going for. Um,
that's great.
yeah, so nice.
Yeah, and so it's like if you were to come on a job and intimacy coordinate, that'd be something you'd have to like a language you'd have to learn almost, and you came
Yeah,
in
that you have to build
already.
totally,
Yeah,
yeah, like the project I'm on now, I definitely had to build that. And it took some time, and
yeah,
I wonder too, like I was when I worked in production for a while, I was an assistant. So an assistant to showrunners and like a
me
writing assistant
too.
in writing rooms. Okay, wow. That's another podcast too. We got a lot of podcasts coming up here, Abby. Um,
Yeah.
but then how quickly you have to try to learn
Mhm.
someone's specific way of being when you're an assistant. You have to like get to know them so quickly in order to really support them in a way that doesn't
Yeah,
like drive them crazy or cause conflict. Um,
totally.
and so I feel like there's an element of that skill that I bring to intimacy coordinating for sure, because I'm trying to like do that with the actors, like get to know them as quickly as
Mhm.
possible in a way that's like professionally productive, of course. And the same with like the director or the showrunner, trying to really understand um yeah, their artistic identity basically as quickly as
Yeah.
possible. Yeah.
I feel like your background is perfect for being an intimacy coordinator because having the side of acting and then you empathize and have been in the spot that the actors are and understanding the pressure that you could feel because of, just wanting to do a good job and then also having
Mhm.
the side of like anticipating needs as an assistant and like being able to read things that the showrunner might not even know themselves they want yet, which was always a fun
It's a fun game, yeah. Or
a
even
fun game.
as then like knowing the whole machine of production. Like
Mhm.
as an assistant, I was just on like almost every internal email for
Yeah,
a variety of productions for like 5 years. And so when I hear someone say something on set, I'm like, "Oh, okay, I know what that means. How does that influence what I
totally,
do?" Like it's like my senses are so attuned. Like I was basically a producer for a bit as well. So I'm also really conscious of, yeah, that kind of like element of things that's happening around and behind everything while we're on set.
totally. Like, the text and the subtext of everything too,
Totally,
probably.
exactly. Yes, that's correct. I do, which is alarming at times. Sometimes it's too much, but I do know it. Yes.
When you were choreographing these scenes, with the actors and with Jacob, how much of it is actually because you wanna make sure, obviously, they're so comfortable. Is every touch choreographed? Is every look choreographed?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, I think it's possible to do intimacy that way, and sometimes that is what actors need, or sometimes that's what a certain scene calls for, that it's like, and now your hand goes on their hip, and then you lean in, she
Mhm.
touches your face, you kiss. It's 3 beats long, you break away. And that's totally okay as well, that's a way to go about it. Sometimes it's useful. Um, really depends on the performers, the scripted content, that production, all kinds of stuff. Very circumstantial. Context depends on the context. In
Yeah.
this case, as I said, the script really laid things out. And
Yeah.
so we took those as basically dance steps or,
Cool.
notes in a song, but dance steps is more accurate for this. So we took them as dance steps. And then, I also spoke to the actors about what level of choreographing they needed or wanted,
Yeah.
like how set did they want or need things to be? What were they comfortable with? What were their boundaries around that type of thing? Jacob and I early were like, we never want anyone to feel like, okay, now just improvise that or figure it out. So that
Yeah.
was never a thing ever.
That's great.
Um, but it certainly was like, okay, here's step A, B, C, D. Um, and here are your boundaries. Here are both of your boundaries. We're clear on that. We all remember what is and isn't being consented to. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And then it was like, and then the performers just filled that kind of choreography in with their, their spirits, their character interpretation, their, I don't know, presence, everything. So there's
Yeah.
certainly parts of it that are not choreographed and that are different each time within that container, if that makes sense.
Totally. Within the consent, sensual lines
Yeah.
of like, this is what
Yeah.
works. That's really
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah. Within the container of the consent and the container of the scripted action.
Yeah.
And then they fill the rest in.
They get to play. They
Yeah,
get
exactly.
to
Yeah.
see
They get to make
what
their offers. Honestly, they get to act. Like
yeah.
that's their job. I'm not going to like, unless someone really asked me to, I'm not going to micromanage them. Like they're acting. I'm intimacy
Mhm.
coordinating.
Right.
And Jacob is directing. So it's like, yeah.
Everyone's serves a purpose in filling their role and
Yeah, exactly. And I can't do that acting for them, nor do I want to like, unless it was requested, set things that
mhm.
much and remove their ability to act. I'm not trying to get in the way of their performance. That's for sure. I'm trying to support their performance.
I think that's amazing. Like you are there truly to support and make everyone feel comfortable and then make the acting then like more natural almost because there's no second guessing. Like I feel like some actors you see do interviews about intimacy coordinators and they're like it feels like still like it would be stilted or and you're like
Mhm, mhm.
and just from the outside looking in, I actually think it allows for more freedom.
Yeah, I mean, you would hope so. That's certainly my goal is that it allows for a level of confidence in terms of the actor feeling like their boundaries and consent levels are going to be adhered to and they
Yeah,
know their choreography and they know what's a no and they know what's a yes, for themselves and for their scene partner and that allows them to almost like knowing your lines really well.
right.
Therefore, you can kind of like let it go enough to just perform.
Yeah.
That would certainly be from an acting perspective, that's what I would desire. And I'm not assuming that everyone desires the same thing as me. Um, I'm working with each individual person as an individual,
Right.
related to their needs and desires and their lived experience and um, all the rest of it, their identity. But I will say, yeah, that the hope or the objective is certainly to um, create a container that is secure enough to allow for artistic risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there any, I think that's beautiful and amazing and so important, and was there any artistic risk or any of the acting that Connor or Hudson did within the scenes in the choreography that took you by surprise?
I think there were many, honestly, because I just want to say those two actors, but also Francois and
Mhm.
Robbie and Sophie, are all so present and like attentive and intuitive as people and as performers. Um, so there were so many moments genuinely where at the monitor I was like surprised, um, sometimes laughing, often moved to tears,
Yeah.
genuinely, many times. I mean, I'm like a very I have a Cancer moon. I'm a sponge. I'm an actor. Like I'm easily moved, maybe.
Water signs,
But
yeah.
yeah, but also they were very moving. They
Yeah.
were very generous in terms of their performances and their all of them in their embodiment of these characters and their commitment to this story. And you know, so there's nothing that's really like a major standout, but I'll just say that like, if I could, I wish there's not that much behind the scenes of me in Heated Rivalry, which I think is because my role involves so much discretion that I'm often
Yeah.
trying to like stay out of the way, or like I'm crouching behind a counter to like help
Yeah.
if need be, or I'm like, I think there's one picture that hasn't really circulated where Jacob and I are at the mini monitors and we're in a very small bathroom. Like, I think he's sitting on the toilet and I'm maybe like crouched next to him, like literally like in a like football stance squat, like holding myself up but trying to stay small, so that I can see the monitors.
Yeah.
Um, and I will say that, Jacob was very collaborative with me and very generous in that sense. Of course, I was always asking him, like, what do you think about this? Or maybe this could be adjusted in this way, like, because
Mhm.
he's the director, it's his vision ultimately that I'm looking to, yeah, support and collaborate with. But the amount of times I think if someone had gotten behind the scenes footage of Jacob and I, it would be us at the monitor like this,
Like heart
you know
eyes.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, just
yeah.
like our hearts are breaking. We're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe they just okay. Oh, that was great." And then like crying and then looking at each other and then like, "Oh, perfect." Just like so high stakes, so
Yeah.
invested, so invested. So it's more like a roller coaster ride of many small moments. I'm sorry that I can't
Yeah.
pull one out, but it's like there are too many to really isolate one because that's how good these actors were.
No, that I mean,
Mm.
that's incredible. The fact that you guys were so invested, of course, like, and
Oh,
just
yeah.
were putting yourself yeah, j that's the best part of being on set is when it's going so well, the actors are acting, their characters are so lived in, like, and you can feel it, and you're like, "This
Oh my
just
god.
feels like magic."
I had full goosebumps, like,
Yeah.
dozens and dozens of times. Full body goosebumps. Like, this project was very special, I will say, like, I'm amazed at the reception. It's, like, shocking and incredible and, um, all the things. But I will say that making it, like, was very special. I was really, really blown away, like, many times, like, by the performances, but also by Jacob's direction and by the
Mhm.
camera work and by the beautiful lighting and,
Yeah.
so many different things, by the wardrobe, all these elements that were so stunning. And the first time I read these scripts, I, like ugly cried. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that's even really a thing. I think all crying is beautiful, but I was, like, by myself, and I was, like, so, caught off guard,
Mhm.
by how by, like, the turns that the story takes and by how hooked I was and by how, I don't know, different it felt, to be honest, how
Totally.
different it felt. And so, yeah, that continued to be true on set, you know?
And then to the screen, like, it just is I feel like when you're watching it, you feel that, like, it's the sincerity that everyone had,
Mhm.
the love that was put into it, and yeah, how I it's like, how it feels so safe, not only the sex scenes, but the show, because our brains are programmed to think worst case scenario is gonna happen often,
Yeah.
but a lot of times in this show, what happens is, like, the sweetest, best case scenario,
Yeah.
and so it's just, like, it's looking at the best parts of humanity, and it's really cool that it came together in the way that it has, and I think that's why everyone's resonating it with it so much. It just feels good to watch.
Yeah, that's so nice. I mean, I know Jacob has talked about that, about wanting to create a queer love story that was joyful,
Mhm.
that had a happy ending, that celebrated, that didn't like, you know, replay trauma narratives for that community. Um,
Totally.
and I have a really dear friend, a brilliant artist named Jill Connell, who once said to me, like, make, and I'm not saying this is the only worthwhile type of art to make, but it does resonate with me a lot. She said, um, make the world you want to see. So, like, make the art that is the world that you want to live in. And
Yeah,
I really love that. I'm interested in that as an ethic.
totally. I mean, that's there's just so much bad happening that seeing positivity, like, wherever you can is so important and just a reminder that people and people are, for the most part, good.
Yeah, and that we can choose to be good,
Mhm.
you know? That there's always that choice, that it's possible for things to go well. Like, these
Yeah.
characters make a lot of choices actually in this story. Some of which obviously are like guarded and come from trauma and all kinds of stuff, but ultimately it feels like the show also talks about like choosing love,
Mhm.
which is so nice.
So nice. It's the what we hope everyone does.
Yeah.
I have some questions for you that I have a group of girlies that I meet with who,
Oh, sweet.
uh, we talk about Heated Rivalry, and they were so excited that you're coming on the pod, and so they submitted some questions for me to ask you if that's okay.
Sweet. I love that.
Amazing. The first one they submitted was which this goes into the choreography of everything. Was it a constant choice for, Ilya to touch Shane's face? Or was it
Mm.
a conscious choice for him to always touch Shane's face? Was that something that had deeper meaning to it or just he was doing as part of his living in the character?
Yeah, that's him living in the character. Yeah.
Cool. That's
Yeah.
really cool. And then when you first read Heated Rivalry, what stood out from you from an intimacy perspective? We spoke about this, how it just felt so lived in
I
and
think what
good.
stood out for me was like how the action could be so explicit because the intimacy is very explicit in how it's scripted, and yet feel it, so it feels simultaneously like very explicit but like uh incredibly emotional at the same time.
Mhm.
So highly explicit but highly emotional, um in terms of those two kind of qualities meeting, and the level of like intensity that creates, um, I think is part of what had me feeling so much for the characters, because it doesn't just it doesn't feel like the explicit, it doesn't feel like the simulated sex, and the intimacy in the show is without emotion. I was
Yeah.
always, the way it's written, always included like intense emotion. And so, because of that, I was incredibly immediately invested in the characters, like felt like I was them, living that journey, like from the first scene. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think it's so important, like, this show is so important for so many reasons, but there's always things studies or articles coming out, they could be clickbait, but they're like, "Gen Z is tired of seeing sex in shows," or whatever,
Mm,
like and, I feel like Puritan views so much penetrate our culture still, and
yeah.
people are like, "I don't wanna see," you see some people say negative things about, like, sex being in shows, but, I mean, 1, it's so emotional, it's an important part of life, but 2, in this show specifically, if you were to skip the sex scenes, you would miss out on the plot, like, you would miss
Oh, I
out
mean,
on
it is, yeah, it's like
Yeah,
it drives the narrative forward. It
totally.
changes the characters, it changes their relationship. It is inextricable. It is inextricable from the plot. Yeah, I mean, which I think is like part of what makes the show really special. And obviously, that comes from Rachel Reed's incredible books. Um, And also, you know, Western North American culture is pretty disembodied, arguably. And so, um, I won't do a deep dive in terms of where that comes from, but and what it means for us as like people, but
Mhm.
like we are our bodies. We're not separate from our bodies.
Yeah,
This like mind body separation is not accurate scientifically. Like, so yeah, it seems kind of like, I don't know, logical to me that these people's embodied experience would be as relevant as like a conversation they might have, you know?
totally.
Yeah. It is a
100%.
conversation, actually. It's just a different type of conversation.
Yeah, they're talking with their bodies, their
Yeah.
looks, the way they're
Yeah.
calling each other by their first name instead of their last name, like,
Yeah.
for
How
the
they're
first
touching
time.
each other, like
Yeah,
all of it. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
tenderness. I always say that I feel like Western culture is so afraid of pleasure. I don't understand
Oh,
it at all.
yeah.
Like, we're obsessed with punishing ourselves for
Totally.
reasons I don't understand. Like, I'm like, just
Yeah.
enjoy life. Like, enjoy the good things
I
that make you
know.
feel
I know.
good.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
it's really wild, and that's I think I hope that people if anyone had that view before watching this show, I hope they watch it and see how important it is to see these lived-in experiences.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
Oh, what's the most invisible part of your job that the audience never expects?
That's great. Um, there are so many spreadsheets. There's so much admin. There are so many spreadsheets. There are thousands of emails. Um, yeah, that's it. It's so heavy on the admin. Um, that's what I would say is the most invisible. Like if I
Yeah.
showed you the spreadsheet that I had for Heated Rivalry, I feel like you'd be like, "Oh my god!" Like it was massive and very detailed, which is great. I love having that organization, and I will definitely say, like I before doing my training with IDC, I had a system that involved some
Mhm.
spreadsheets, but the template of the spreadsheet that I use really comes from that training, and I'm super grateful for it. It's
Yeah.
very useful. Yeah,
That's awesome. I saw a
yeah.
post yesterday that literally said, "Why are all jobs just secretly spreadsheet?" And
Oh
it's
my
like
god. Why? I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess I would have a notebook if it wasn't a spreadsheet. Do you know what I mean? Because I would
Yeah.
have to keep track of this stuff somewhere.
Is it keeping track of the beats in the scene and, like, or
It's keeping
keeping
track
track
of
of
everything. It's keeping track of every, so say it's like a 6 episode arc. So I have
Mhm.
6 different sheets, one for each episode. I have that sheet has every single scripted scene that has intimacy or nudity or hyperexposure. It has what
Oh,
the actors are in each scene. It has the scripted action. It has their boundaries and consent levels. It
wow.
has what wardrobe needs they might have. It has any specific notes. Then it has notes for wardrobe. Then it has rider language for their nudity rider. Then it has like just on and on and on, like that.
Yeah. Man, so much is so thought out. It's so
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did Heated Rivalry get right about intimacy that you hope other productions learn from it?
Wow. Gosh, get right. I'm not sure if there's a right or wrong related to intimacy, is what I will come back with there. Although I understand what the question is saying. Um, I guess a way to answer that would be to say that I feel like uh, the intimacy in Heated Rivalry is extremely specific to
Mm.
those characters and to that story. And I think that's a high level of specificity in terms of both the planning and the consent levels and the choreography and being able to rehearse and all this prep, but also um, a high level of artistic specificity
Yeah.
in terms of what the intimacy means for those characters and therefore how it's being filmed and how that's translating into the choreography. would be just something that's like helpful in terms of having intimacy feel very meaningful and
Yeah.
real. And one thing I will say is that I think Heated Rivalry gets the intimacy, if we're going to say right, in terms of consent.
Hmm.
I personally, you know, I'm probably like about 10 years older than you, but I grew up watching a lot of non-consent or lack of consent
Yeah.
or confusion around consent, or just like not even touching the subject of consent, assumption around consent, being romanticized and normalized in the
Yeah.
media, both in terms of like a female identifying to male identifying dynamics, very, 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 very prevalent, but in lots of other dynamics as well. Never mind how that then translate to interracial dynamics and
Hmm.
all of the uh, problematic content that has been made in that realm.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and so I love that there's consent in Heated Rivalry and that it
I love it.
normalizes that.
And that's something that people just when watching these scenes and feeling safe, like that's something that definitely contributed it to it. The way Ilya like checks in with Shane constantly is
Mm-hmm,
such a cool thing. And the fact that you can see that that doesn't take away from the moment. Like
mm-hmm,
they're still in in it and connected together and maybe even more connected because they're
mm-hmm,
now on so sure they're on the same page.
mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm not saying like that there aren't, people telling stories out there that involve depictions of a lack of consent or
Mhm.
even sexual assault. I'm not saying that those stories don't have value or don't need to be told, or, I'm not, I'm definitely not saying that. But I guess I'm just saying that for me, it was nice to work on something where consent is being like normalized and even romanticized and made
Totally.
sexy and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's like a nice offer.
Can be something that then people watch and say, "Oh, this
Yeah.
is normal. Let me take this to my
Yeah.
own life."
And that it feels kind of easeful and,
Mhm.
that it's just a part of what they're doing.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. What's something you say on set that would sound absolutely wild out of context?
Oh man, so many things. Um, masking intimacy garments is a real art. So I've certainly had to say things like, for example, so when you walk to the bed, you need to make sure that your legs are pretty close together when you're walking. And then when you
Mm.
turn, um, you have to lift the sheet really quickly and then spin your body 180 degrees, but make that all seem really natural,
Wow.
you know,
That's so much to
for
think of.
example.
That's yeah,
So
wow.
much to think about for the actors. Never mind all the emotions and like the actual content of the scene that they're playing. Then I'm like, okay, you got to do this really weird walk and then this half twist and like sit down quickly. But yeah, there is stuff like that for sure.
Well, because it's the intimacy garment can't be seen, so it's trying to hide it every step of
Yeah.
the way. I have to
Yeah.
imagine
Yeah.
that's how, like, a character like, a woman on set who is, like, pregnant, like, and they try to hide
Yeah.
her pregnancy with different
Totally.
like, the
Yeah.
pillow in front of the belly, like,
I know.
similar that you're constantly thinking about that
Yeah. It's just a
choreography.
technical element. Yeah. That you have to
Mhm.
really like consider in a big way. But yeah, it does create some very micromanagey adjustments at times, which can be for sure hard for actors when they're trying to like zero in on this scene.
You're like, move your thigh."
Yeah, and then it's just me being like, okay, up an inch, okay, down an inch. Okay, now twist a
Yeah.
little. Okay, great, don't move. Okay, we're good.
It's almost like being a Pilates instructor, like
Totally. Yeah, very similar. Yeah. Very.
all the little movements. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then the final question from these lovely hockey girlies, they said, "Does it, make it your job easier or harder when the actors have chemistry and are good friends? Is it challenging or because they're comfortable? Or,
Mm.
like, does it make anything less professional?"
I haven't found that, no, and I certainly didn't find it with anyone on this production. Like, Everyone was extremely professional. Um, we all really got along. Like, sure, Hudson and Connor got along. Um, Francois and Robbie and Sophie,
Mhm.
like all of them, all the performers got along, and Ksenia as well. And yeah, but that was true of the whole crew as well. We were all, very cordial with each other. And I have never encountered a situation where it means that someone is therefore being unprofessional.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. To me, it's just a boon. It's like, I've said this too, but it's like, say you're an accountant, and when you go into your office, you like genuinely adore the 10 people who are there. Then, like,
totally.
that'll make your day easier, I think, you know?
100%. And
Yeah.
I do feel like, because when the cast is doing interviews together and they're having so much fun, and I feel like it's sometimes easy for people to forget that acting is a job at the end of the day.
Oh my God, yeah, they're working so hard. There's so much focus involved.
Mhm.
Like, if you think about that example I just gave of like micromanaging someone's, like getting them to like really have to think hyper technically about a series of actions, and then say all these lines, and
Yeah,
then play the emotional arc of the scene, and also like try to not ignore but not be focused on like the light that's set up 2 feet from them, and the like seven
right.
people standing around, then the camera, maybe it's a steady cam moving like a foot from their body. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, immense focus. So yeah, I feel like, yeah, it is certainly a job, and I would say like a lucky one if you like it, like it's nice to make art.
Yeah.
um, but it's also, yeah, it still also is like a profession and requires focus, and people are professional about it, in my experience.
Yes. Requires focus and boundaries, and then it
Yeah,
comes
yeah. And professional conduct, and yeah.
and then when you watch it, like, the cool thing of it all is that all comes together to make it look effortless,
Hmm.
and but you're like, "Oh, so much."
Ideally.
Yeah, I mean, definitely with Heated Rivalry, it
Yeah.
is comes off that way. What is your Netflix show that you're working on? Are you how are
Yeah,
you
I
allowed to
can't
talk
say
about it at all?
about it. I can say that it's called The Body,
The
and
Body.
it's Quinn Shepherd's new show, for Netflix. She's the showrunner.
Cool.
There's also a couple other partners, production companies involved. Really cool production companies involved in the show, like Felix Kupla Films and North Road. Um,
Great.
yeah, and people can look it up. It's gonna be very singular. It's very very thrilling, very interesting. A lot of really interesting themes being delved into in it, and like a big, cool kind of pseudo ensemble cast, like some obvious leads, but yeah, it's a really exciting script. I'm excited to be working on it. Really glad to be collaborating with such amazing people.
Yeah, that seems like, something you're getting in rooms with really incredible people, and so
Yeah.
that's so impressive and just so amazing that and just a testament to you and your work, and I'm
Um,
so appreciative that we were able to talk to you today and get some more, like, behind the scenes looks at, like, what it is to be an intimacy coordinator.
yeah, totally. It was such a nice conversation. Thanks for your questions. I loved also your hockey girls questions. Those were cool.
We get together and we chat about the episodes, and, yeah,
Nice.
we send each other all the memes, and
I love it. Yeah, you got to.
it's
You got to have that group chat.
totally. We were like we discovered each other online because we were like, "If we just keep sending these to our families and friends, they're gonna, like, be like, 'Stop.'"
Leave us alone. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Except for my
good.
mom, she's very in it.
Oh, great,
She
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are you down to do Send It to the Sewers to close out the episode? This is where we, like, rant about something from the week.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're down to get real, I'm down to do it.
Yeah, there's lots of real things to rant about.
Yeah.
Would you would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
Why don't you go first? I'm just gonna think about
Okay.
this.
Okay. I'm gonna do a little lighter just to bring some levity because
That's good. Yeah. I'm gonna think about whether I'm gonna do that too.
Well, I just want to say always fuck ice. Like we
Yeah.
that's always number one, send it to the sewers. Fuck
Yeah,
them.
like,
That's
maybe
just
we don't even have to
unsaid.
touch on that because that's just, like, a base level. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
th-
I will
That's
make that my thing. It's just, like, the most obvious thing,
it's so
but yeah, that's
horrible.
we can just agree that that's base level send it to the sewers, then I'll think of something else.
Yeah, it's but if you want to throw in some jabs at them, we always
Yeah,
encourage,
okay,
you
okay, I'll
know.
consider, yeah.
Um so one, fuck ice. Two, I want to send to the sewer. Armpits being so easy to throw off their microbiome. Like I feel like armpits
Oh,
are the vagina of the arm. Like I feel like my
yeah.
armpit can so easily start smelling like persistently, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah, I do. I feel like this is a winter thing too, though. It's, like,
yeah,
about not sweating enough and, like, maybe wearing polyester or I don't know, like,
t-
I get weird in the winter, yeah.
totally. And it's just annoying how it's so sensitive. Like how a vagina, you can't have scented products on it. You can't, or
Mm,
else it can throw off your pH. Like I'm starting to feel the same way about armpits, where I'm just,
mm.
if I use, like, if my husband uses my deodorant
Oh, it's
and
over.
it's over, and I don't
Yeah.
know about it, and then I use it, and I'm like then 3 days later, my armpit smells. I'm like, "Jesse, did you use my deodorant?" And he's like, "What are you talking about? How would you know that?" I'm like, "Well, now
Wow,
my
yeah.
whole body is messed up." Yeah.
Yeah, totally. My gosh, that's a cool throw to the sewers. That also I feel like it, like, relates back to our conversation just about how, like, I don't know, our bodies are everything, like, and so sensitive and so fine-tuned and malleable and, like,
Yeah.
instinctive and yeah.
My body's like, "Something's wrong. A boy touched this deodorant."
Yeah,
Like,
totally. "Whoa, what is happening?"
yeah.
A boy touched this deodorant. Your armpits are like, "Ah!"
Yeah, get away. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Okay. Send it to the sewers. You know what's really getting me down is, like, I have a toddler, and toddlers are famously obsessed with berries. They love to eat berries. It's like if you can't feed them anything else at dinner, probably you can get them to eat an entire quart of strawberries and like half an avocado.
Wow,
Or that's
amazing.
my reality anyway. And
Yeah.
I am just so over single use plastics. I know
Oh,
this
yeah.
isn't like super news, it's not new news, but I'm just like, we know how to not do this in plastic.
Totally.
Like we do. We don't need plastic wrap anymore. We don't need these containers to be made of plastic. I know that biodegradable things are not perfectly biodegradable, but like they could be made of corn or whatever all these other things are
Yeah.
that like break down eventually. And I'm just like, yeah, it's like because I feel guilt, which is why I want to throw it to the sewers, single use plastic, because I'm buying all these berries and then I have all these like single use plastic containers and I'm
Mhm.
just like, why can't I buy these in bulk? Or like, why why is this in plastic? Yeah.
Totally,
I
or why
just
can't
really
I bring
feel
yeah, my, what's it called? My containers, my,
yeah, exactly.
like
Can I bring in my reusable? Or even when they're in
yeah.
the little like green cardboard carton things, you know?
Mhm.
At least
Totally.
that's better than these like clamshell plastic things. I just think I actually can't think about how many of those there are in the world because I will just like never sleep again. Um, but yeah, I am I am it is time for humanity to move on from single-use plastics.
100%.
Hummus,
Also
yogurt, berries, they could all be in something different.
totally. That's why I love a banana, because 'cause I'm like, it provided us with
Totally.
its own encasement. Why like, why
Totally.
can't
Love
all
an
fruit be this
orange for that
savvy?
same
Yeah.
reason. Or
Yeah.
like even like, when you go to pick strawberries on like a cute farm or something and they're in those like woodeny kind of things.
Totally.
Like, I know the berries are getting shipped from somewhere far away. It's weird that I'm
Yeah.
even buying them technically right now in Ontario. But it's like, couldn't a clamshell be made of that like thin wood type stuff that those baskets are
Yeah.
made of? Like, that would protect the berries too, and it would break down eventually.
Right,
Yeah.
or just, like, I'm picturing, like, ship them all together, and then we'll spoon some out, and then put it in our little, like, individual
I know.
containers.
I think the thing about that is they would go bad faster, unfortunately,
Yeah,
but there's still gotta be a way around
there's
it. I'm
gotta be
sure of it.
something.
Yeah.
I'm so bad at like, I didn't learn until adulthood that fruits were seasonal. I, like, went to
Oh.
the, when I moved to LA, I went to the grocery store in December and was like, "Where are your cherries?" And the guy looked
Oh
at
my
me
god.
like
Yeah, like, "Excuse me?"
yeah, like I was insane, and I was like
Yeah.
it was a real wake-up call, and so I can't imagine for a toddler that's wanting berries all the time.
I
How
know, I mean, it's lucky that we can buy them. There's lots of, like, little markets in Toronto, like small grocery stores, so we can get them, but
that's great.
yeah, I wish they weren't in plastic.
100%. I didn't read the article. This is typical. You see a post. I saw a post that was there's some kind of mushrooms that have been growing that degrade like eat plastic basically.
Oh,
So
yeah, I did see this
yeah.
too.
So I was like, "Yay
Well,
world."
power to those man, mushrooms are amazing. That's a whole other podcast too. Okay.
A fungi podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, thank you so, so much for being here. It was incredible talking to you, and I just can't say enough good things about you and the Heated Rivalry team and the show, and just how it's really resonating with people is amazing. And so I'm so incredibly thankful that you came and you chatted with us.
Yeah, it was so fun. Thank you. Thanks for reaching out and, yeah, having me. So great.
Of course. And so, feral friends, we will see you next week. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.